Think back to the last time you interacted with an automated voice system. Maybe you were calling your bank, or listening to a GPS navigation system, or even just having an article read aloud by a basic screen reader. The experience is usually the same, isn't it? It is flat, mechanical, and instantly recognizable as a machine. You hear that unnatural cadence, the awkward pauses, and your brain immediately tunes out the humanity and just waits for the information. But what happens when that boundary dissolves? What happens when a machine doesn't just read words, but actually performs them?
That is exactly the threshold we are crossing right now. We are moving away from mere vocalization and entering the era of genuine digital performance. For decades, the holy grail of text-to-speech technology was simply intelligibility, just getting the computer to pronounce words correctly. But intelligibility is no longer the ceiling. It is the absolute floor. The new standard is emotional resonance, and that is a massive paradigm shift in how we interact with technology.
And that shift is precisely what brings us to our topic today. We are looking at the latest leap in synthetic audio generation, a newly released text-to-speech model that fundamentally changes the relationship between text and audio. It is not just about choosing a voice that sounds pleasant, it is about directing that voice, moment by moment, with an unprecedented level of granularity. We are talking about injecting hesitation, joy, panic, and even literal whispers into a digital voice stream.
It really is like handing a script to a classically trained actor, rather than feeding data into a machine. To understand the magnitude of this, we have to look at how this new system is engineered. It offers over 200 specific audio markers, essentially emotional and pacing commands that you can embed directly into your text. You are not just selecting a baseline voice from their library of 30 different avatars. You are actively sculpting the delivery.
I love that analogy of the director. So, if I am understanding the mechanics correctly, I do not just highlight a paragraph and click a button that says, "Make this sound sad." I am actually weaving instructions into the sentence itself. How does that practically work for a developer or a creator who is sitting down to build an audio experience?
It operates on a surprisingly intuitive framework. You start by establishing your foundation, picking your base voice, and selecting from over 70 supported languages or regional dialects. Once that foundation is set, you use natural language prompts to define the overarching style. You might ask for a casual, conversational tone, or perhaps the authoritative cadence of a documentary narrator. But the real magic happens at the micro level, using what they call inline tags.
Inline tags. Meaning instructions that live right next to the words being spoken?
Precisely. You literally type these commands inside square brackets right into the text stream. So, the formula looks something like this. You insert a pacing command, write a few words of your script, drop in an emotional command, write the next phrase, maybe add a command for a pause, and so on.
That sounds incredibly precise. But does it feel clunky to program? Give me an example of how that actually looks on the screen.
Imagine you are writing a thriller. You wouldn't just write the dialogue, you would write the stage directions. In this system, you might type an open bracket, the word cautious, close the bracket, and then write, "Step carefully around the glowing runes." Then, right after that, you drop in a tag for anxiety before the next sentence about the temple collapsing. You can even add a tag for relief when the characters find what they are looking for, followed by awe as they examine it. You are micromanaging the emotional arc of the paragraph.
So the AI is dynamically shifting its tone from cautious to anxious to relieved, all within the span of a few seconds, purely based on those bracketed words. That is fascinating. And from what I understand, these tags go far beyond basic emotions. They cover everything from frustration and annoyance to admiration and enthusiasm. You can even command the voice to speed up, slow down, or take a dramatically long pause.
Yes, the pacing controls are just as vital as the emotional ones. In human conversation, silence does as much work as the words themselves. A perfectly timed short pause can make a punchline land, while a long pause can build incredible suspense. And it goes even further than that. The model can generate nonverbal sounds. You can command it to physically laugh, or gasp, or drop its volume to a conspiratorial whisper. It adds a texture to the audio that is remarkably human.
I want to touch on something you mentioned earlier about the languages. You said it supports over 70 languages. Do these emotional tags work across different linguistic barriers? Because a tag like panic or whisper is written in English. Can I apply an English emotional tag to a script written in, say, French or Japanese?
You absolutely can, and that is one of the most powerful aspects of the architecture. The tags themselves are standardized in English, but the emotional mapping applies to the target language. So you could write a French narrative about a secret document hidden in a dark room and use the English bracketed tags for whispers or panic right in the middle of the French text. The system understands the emotional intent and applies the correct vocal inflection to the French pronunciation. It separates the emotional instruction from the linguistic output.
That is a brilliant design choice. It creates a universal emotional vocabulary for developers. But this brings up a rather heavy question. We are talking about a machine that can perfectly mimic human hesitation, that can convincingly express awe, or anger, or nervous laughter. As this technology becomes indistinguishable from a real human being, aren't we stepping into some dangerous territory regarding authenticity? How do we know what is real anymore?
That is the exact philosophical and ethical dilemma of our time. When the uncanny valley is completely bridged, trust becomes our most fragile resource. The creators of this model are acutely aware of this, which is why they have integrated a highly sophisticated watermarking technology directly into the audio output. It is not an audible beep or a disclaimer at the beginning of the track. It is an invisible, imperceptible signature woven into the very acoustic fabric of the generated speech.
So it is essentially a digital DNA sequence for the audio file. Even if I can't hear it, a system can analyze the file and definitively prove whether it was spoken by a human or generated by this AI.
Exactly. It ensures accountability. As we give machines the ability to sound profoundly human, we have to simultaneously build the infrastructure to verify reality. It is a necessary safeguard to prevent misuse, especially in an era where misinformation can spread like wildfire. But assuming we have those safeguards in place, the positive applications of this hyper-expressive audio are just staggering.
Let's dive into those applications, because I think this is where the technology stops being just a cool parlor trick and becomes a societal utility. My mind immediately goes to accessibility. For visually impaired individuals, interacting with the digital world often means listening to a screen reader drone on in a completely flat, robotic monotone. It conveys the data, but it strips away all the joy and context of the experience.
You hit the nail on the head. Accessibility should not just be about basic functionality. It should be about equalizing the quality of the experience. Think about the gaming industry. Modern video games are massive, cinematic experiences. If a visually impaired player is navigating a game menu or exploring a new level, a standard screen reader just ruins the immersion. But with this new technology, the audio description can match the vibe of the game.
Right. If the player enters a haunted forest, the voice describing the environment shouldn't sound like it's reading a spreadsheet. It should sound mysterious, maybe a little tense.
Exactly. You could use an enthusiasm tag to welcome the player to a new area, and an interest tag to describe hidden artifacts. It makes the digital space inviting. The same applies to audio descriptions for television and film. Imagine watching a tense thriller. A synthetic voice can describe a shadowy figure in a diner, and then seamlessly transition into a whisper to describe the character nervously checking their watch, all without breaking the mood of the scene. It enhances the media rather than distracting from it.
That is a beautiful application. It gives everyone a front row seat to the emotional intent of the art. Speaking of art and entertainment, what does this mean for the publishing industry? Audiobooks are a massive market, but producing them is incredibly expensive and time-consuming. You have to hire voice actors, book studio time, and go through endless edits. Can this system actually replace a human narrator reading a 20-hour fantasy novel?
Replace might be a strong word, but it absolutely democratizes high-quality audio production. For independent authors or smaller publishers, this is a game changer. Because the model understands context and pacing, you can stack those expressive tags to build real, dramatic tension in a narrative. You can have the narrator set a neutral scene, and then have a character speak with a distinct, panicked style.
But wait, if I wrote a massive 500-page novel, going through and manually typing bracketed emotional tags for every single sentence sounds like a nightmare. That would take almost as long as recording it myself.
That is a very valid logistical hurdle, and there is an incredibly clever solution for it. You don't have to do it manually. Developers are using lighter, faster language models to programmatically read the manuscript, analyze the context of the scenes, and automatically inject those audio tags before feeding the text to the main speech model.
That is ingenious. So you have one AI acting as the script supervisor, reading the book and deciding, okay, this character is angry here, let's insert the anger tag, and then it hands the annotated script to the voice AI to actually perform it. It is literally a digital production studio.
Exactly. It automates the emotional mapping. And this level of automation and precision isn't just for entertainment. It is fundamentally changing enterprise and business operations. We often think of corporate automated voices as the ultimate annoyance, the robotic voice telling you your call is important. But tone matters immensely in business.
It really does. If my airline calls me to tell me my flight is delayed, I don't want the voice to sound cheerful. I want it to sound clear, urgent, and professional.
Right. Let's look at the banking sector. Imagine an automated system calling a customer about potential credit card fraud. That is a high-stress moment for the customer. The model can be programmed to start with a serious, neutral tone to convey the gravity of the alert, maybe even slowing down the pacing when reading the last 4 digits of the card so the customer can process it. But then, once the system explains how to resolve the issue, it can instantly transition to a positive, helpful tone.
It is managing the customer's psychological state through subtle vocal cues. It starts authoritative to get their attention and ends warm to reassure them that everything is under control.
Precisely. Or take your airline example. If a flight is departing from a new gate in 5 minutes, the system can use a short pause to grab attention, deliver the flight number slowly for clarity, and then use a fast pacing tag to emphasize the urgency of getting to the gate immediately. It is about using the rhythm of speech to drive human action.
It is fascinating how much we rely on those micro-expressions in audio. We don't even realize we are processing them until they are missing. When a voice lacks that dynamic range, we feel disconnected. By giving developers the tools to inject those nuances, we are essentially teaching computers the subtle art of human empathy.
That is a profound way to look at it. We are coding empathy into the interface. And for those looking to actually build with this, the barrier to entry is surprisingly low. The technology is already integrated into major cloud platforms and developer studios, allowing for rapid prototyping. You can literally jump into an audio playground interface today and start experimenting with how a simple sentence changes when you apply an admiration tag versus a frustration tag.
It feels like we are standing at the edge of a completely new frontier in human-computer interaction. For so long, we had to adapt ourselves to the rigid binary ways of machines. We had to learn their language. Now, machines are finally learning ours, not just the vocabulary, but the music of our speech, the sighs, the pauses, the urgency, the joy.
And as this technology scales across global markets, reaching dozens of languages and dialects, it is going to fundamentally change how we consume information, how we play, and how we connect with digital services. The voice is our oldest and most natural tool for communication, and the digital world is finally learning how to use it properly.
It is a remarkable leap forward. But it also leaves us with something deep to ponder. If a machine can perfectly replicate the warmth of a comforting voice or the thrill of an excited whisper, what is it that makes a human voice uniquely human? Is it just the biological origin, or is there an intangible soul behind the sound that algorithms can never quite capture? As synthetic speech becomes indistinguishable from our own, we might just have to redefine what it means to truly listen.